Before we get started, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, Stephanie Crossan, who is one of our accounting specialists, Pam got called to jury duty a little unexpectedly. And so Stephanie is stepping in her stead. So if we need to stop, I encourage her to say something if, from a protocol standpoint, if she needs to stop and ask a question or something that,
Okay.
appreciate her stepping in today on her behalf. So.
Okay, so roll call. Ms. Mucko? Here. Mr. Olson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
He's online.
Okay.
Here.
Mr. Clock?
He's online too.
Okay. Mr. Erkin?
Here.
Okay.
Where are you, Hi? Are you at home?
The safety of my house.
Okay.
Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? None. Moving forward, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting October 14th.
Move to approve the minutes.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. On to the monthly activity and financial report. Anne Marie.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We had a very successful sales mission to IMEX in Las Vegas last month. I went along on that trip. It's the one event that the sales team allows me to go on with them every year. My shtick is flies, fishing flies, and so I think I gave out 600 this year. So it's kind of a fun draw, and the sales team gets to sell, and I get to talk to people and find out what they're thinking about travel and tours and that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun. Long days on the trade show floor, but very enlightening. It's so cool to see our teams work so closely together. It really, truly is. We had for 2 days, for Tuesday and Wednesday, almost completely full appointment schedules, which, I mean, every year it got better, but this year it was actually more than ever before. So it was great to see, and the team did a great job. There were 2 sales managers from the Grove Hotel, 2 from the CVB, and then 2 from our team. So did a great job. And the new booth display that Allie and Cliff put together, in addition to that the CVB has, is really cool. It's really nice. So went really well. We had, as you've heard, busy month for events, even with the Lost Festival of Trees. Quite frankly, we were over budget in revenues, even with no events for a solid week. The team needed that break over Thanksgiving, but it was a great month, given again a dark week. So,
Madam Chair, Pat, did I hear you say earlier that the Festival of Trees is a third of our total attendance
35,000, between 30 and 35,000 attendance.
for the year?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Well, don't lose that client.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it helps on the economic impact side. It doesn't do the amount of revenue that you anticipate for 35,000 really doesn't correlate for us. Again, it's the attendance at the event. However, Festival of Trees, the gala, that's 1,000 to 1,200 people. If they did Breakfast with Santa, you know, that's another couple of hundred. So there are certain events certainly that are revenue drivers, but the attendance is really drives economic impact. People that come downtown and, you know, they factor in gas and stuff, lunches that they buy around and that kind of thing.
Madam Chair, the other number that I remember jumping out was the soccer tournament.
Oh, yeah.
It was 22,000 room nights. That sound about right?
It's about 10,000 roommates.
10,000. Thank you.
For a solid week. That's why, I mean, it's a great event for the community. It drives great economic impact into the marketplace. It actually hurts us as Boise. It helps us as the district because of the room tax revenues. It hurts us as Boise Center because we can't book conventions because there's no rooms available.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. We benefit either way. for sure, as an organization or as an entity. So, you know, again, it's like I said, sometimes it's a trade-off in numbers, but tremendous impact for the community regardless.
What are the other, I'm just thinking of major events in a year here. What are the other ones that jump out?
Soccer tournaments, certainly festival, Kid for a Night is big for an organization, for the community. You know, there's a lot of, it's surprising the number of softball tournaments, baseball tournament, you know, sports events. BSU helps bring in, you know, the football games help bring in a certain segment, right? I mean, most of them are local, but just from an economic impact driver. The fair helps, you know, because again, you've got the vendors, you've got the farmers and those folks who come in. A lot of them stay in trailers and stuff at the fairgrounds, but that's a good one.
Basketball tournaments.
Big Sky, the Big Sky tournaments, or just the high school basketball tournaments too, the regional football tournaments, or the football games, depending on how the local teams are doing. Swim meets, the Y actually has generated lots of swim. Obviously, that's why, you know, we're encouraging to participate in the aquatic centers, just the swim meets that are coming in. Allie, and what am I missing? Mary Michael.
Idaho associations come to mind. The Idaho Education Technology Association is a big one. That's every year for February. Oh yeah, if we're talking community events.
Thank you.
You know, again, sporting, if you're looking just community-wide, that helps the district in room taxes. Sports actually play a pretty major role. And again, those that you don't really think about. I mean, you know, Shakespeare at some level, you know, and some of the theater aspects. I mean, for, again, not huge necessarily that people come here as a, you know, as a destination, but they include it as part of their stay. So it all helps.
Pickleball event, a big one.
You know, pickleball actually is another sport that's caught on, and there's, I can't remember what I was reading about that just a couple of weeks ago, that, you know,
One of the top 10 women in the entire pickleball scene lives and works here out at the tennis courts. And she's the one that's big in facilitating, bringing all that in.
really.
Yeah.
I'd seen that the number of tournaments and things have really ticked up.
And they're fanatics. Pickleball people are hardcore.
Are there
They
any,
will play all throughout the year.
excuse me, are there any initial estimates of the impact of Hamilton?
I don't know the answer to that. Certainly I can reach out to BSU and, because I think it's Morrison Center, right? So, yeah, I think we can get that number though. Final capital project. At the start of last year, the board asked that we, you know, try to push things off to the fourth quarter if we could, or not spend capital dollars given the uncertainty of the room tax collections for the year. And so just to let the board know that the team took that seriously, and we did not, of the $1.3 million budget, we did not spend almost 500,000 of that. So almost 36% of the budget was quote unquote saved or just not spent. So, you know, from a cash reserve, I think it helped certainly that, but the 8.2 million in room tax revenues, the next line there, that was, I mean, there were some bets going on internally about if we were going to, you know, break the record or not. And I think I owe Allie drinks actually. So, but it was fun because again, the numbers just kept coming in. Average rates and demand were great. Again, average rates broke records this year. Several parties this month held strong. In fact, Monday, if anybody wants to come in and help dish up, we're serving almost 1,000 on Monday morning for the Federation of Christian Athletes breakfast that normally goes in conjunction with the bowl game. So we've got 900 served meals, and then they were selling tickets if you wanted continental breakfast type thing. I think there's about another 100 tickets sold for that. So about 1,000 people, and you know, I want to really commend, Cody talked about our staffing earlier and where we are. We have several, we had a tremendous success this year as we always have in the past, but BSU, we were putting a lot of eggs in that BSU basket on hiring when, for the fall, because we knew we'd be busy. Pardon me. And they came through. And so as a result, and again, Cody brought this up, I think it speaks volumes about our culture. We've got several college kids who said, yeah, we'll stick around. Oregon, they live in Oregon, Washington, a couple of California, certainly throughout the state here too. But they're holding off. I think we have 24 or 25 servers who are BSU students who are sticking around. Well, most of those are BSU students that are sticking around to help us out on Monday morning. And then I talked to two of them earlier that would help us with the chamber lunch today. And they said they're leaving about 10:30 on Monday, as soon as we can get them out the door. But they're going to be here between 4 and 6 o'clock in the morning. Pretty much any staff you see in this room are going to be here between 5 and 6 on Monday morning. It's an all hands on deck day. We've already had our assignments, but where I'm going with that is, again, the commitment level that we have from our team is unbelievable. And I can't be prouder of what the team has been able to do this year. So again, I can't credit them enough. And again, December held strong. Some of the numbers slipped a little bit, but the events held. We've got a dinner tomorrow night for $550, a Christmas party, and then we've got
Corporate.
Yes, sir. And then we have two smaller events tomorrow night as well. And Saturday night, I think we have a total of 2 events, about 400 people. And then, like I said, we're setting the room the team is setting the room for Monday morning. So.
Who is
Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's a group that they invite both football teams. Lou Holtz is the speaker this year. I want to sit in on that one, or at least if AV has a room set aside to listen to the speaker. I'd like to meet him if I can, actually. But anyway. So Mary Michael has been working hard on getting testimonials and whatnot updated on the website. Max, you saw that earlier, that the Northwest Credit Union Association was here earlier this year in October. And they just had nothing but rave reviews for us. In fact, Ryan Lee, who was with the events and programs manager, he actually has a hotel background. He was really a great guy to talk to. But anyway, they don't normally do these. So, but he went to their board and said, hey, we're being asked to do this. And overwhelmingly, they said, yes, absolutely support it. So this was just a great event. So that's my highlight for the month. Visitor center stats, obviously things are slowing down with weather changes and whatnot. No surprise on where the states are predominantly coming from. Interesting international visitors with Canada, Netherlands, and France. One of the things at IMEX that I noticed, it was the first national event open to international travel. So, and all the countries were represented, international meetings and expositions. I want to say there were 1,000 vendors, did you know? But all the countries were represented pretty much around the world. And I was talking to a couple of people from England that were staff members actually of IMEX. And some had to quarantine in Canada for a time. Others were cleared right away. It was kind of, they said it was kind of wonky, but again, I had particular interest in talking to some folks from Ireland and Scotland and Nova Scotia and whatnot for personal family backgrounds. But anyway, long and short story short is that these people were excited to be able to travel. And it was the first show that literally opened to international travel. Strong financial position. The budget didn't take into account the additional capital needs, and And the aquatics facility, we're into the aquatics facility, 3.1 million to a total of 5. And we just transferred yesterday. We just transferred just short of $1 million yesterday to Sprung Structures to get the construction started on the structure itself. Occupancy and ADR, I talked about that a bit ago. Even though some of the occupancies are dropping, it's seasonal drop, which is fine. ADRs, though the ADR has dropped, it's still higher than historical. So we're still breaking records on ADR. So it's come down, it's still positive. So demand and revenues, again, holding strong, better than budget, and the hotels are consistently doing if not as good, better than prior years. I'm going to go through this kind of quick because Ally and Cliff pretty much spoke to these already. Ally talked about the goals and where we are for next year on convention attendance. Again, the caveat, I feel like deja vu here. We're about where we were last year. You know, with Omicron, who knows? There's a certain level of population, particularly locally with events, that are over it, saying, you know what, this is just the latest. Some are talking, and I'm, you know, when you look at the science and the reports of the severity or lack thereof of the Omicron variant, but how it spreads quickly. You know, as we came into this, when I talked to the board a few months ago about what was our take on 22 and how we were going to approach the budget, I'm not going to change our approach. I mean, can't help the variance. We'll see where it goes. First quarter locally, as you heard, is already strong. We've got lots of inquiries. So I remain optimistic. You know, we'll see what happens from a national level, which will obviously impact the convention attendance. So far, we haven't had anybody roll out. We had 2 roll out in June, but this was about 2 months ago. But there was some federal funding involved, and it was dicey anyway. 2 events in June canceled, but we're still very optimistic. But it's how the country and the world handles these various variants that are going to just keep coming at some level. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, very optimistic. Again, you know, as we've talked before, the mid-size are pretty much our bread and butter, but the citywide events are starting to pick up as we've anticipated. Ally talked about the Shriners and Daughters of the Nile in 24. You know, I think having the partnership next door is key to some of these larger events. The challenge for us is, however, depending on what events want to book, will determine if we can use the arena based on the other activities that they have, particularly hockey. And if the better they, and I really hope they do well, but the better they do, the further into the season it goes, which makes committing the arena late season difficult. So there's some innate challenges. However, during those open times when we can collaborate, as Ally alluded to, we're certainly looking to do that.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and other board members. So, you know, just to follow up on what everybody said, 2021 was certainly a tough year for us. There was a lot of unknowns and surprises. We started out with a budget going into the year thinking that, you know, we were going to have a decent first quarter, and COVID continued to roll throughout the year, and we had a lot of ups and downs, and with events shifting, and made it pretty difficult, I think, overall operationally for the team to manage some of the labor costs. Everybody did a yeoman's effort, and as a result, you can see the Boise Center ended up $387,000 with lower loss than budget. The district was $4.2 million over budget. And that was due to the fact that the tax revenues rebounded so heartily in the last quarter that none of us could believe it, as Pat said, trying to do bets. And so as a result, and then we have the aquatics, which we didn't budget for this year, but we were, took on and made the investments on the capital side. So combined, we ended up at $4.6 million better than we had budgeted. So, and that most of that was through, like I said, increased tax revenues and then cost controls on the side of the Boise Center. Here you can see that this just summarizes the same thing. We ended up tax revenues at $4.2 million over budget for the year, and the expenses ended up under budget. So overall, the district had a great year. In fact, the tax revenues, you can see there, were 112% over 2019.
I just to jump in real quick, I can't tell you how excited I am about this slide. To come off of a year that was, you know, a COVID year. And as the graph indicates, you see the growth since, you know, 2008 when we had the recession. And given where we had no clue about what this year was going to look like, and obviously we approached the budget very conservatively, which is our MO. But just to see the slide, that it was the second highest revenue year in tax revenue ever. I don't know, it just amazes me. So sorry.
No, I think I don't think anybody anticipated that. So for November, we had a good month, a great month. Our operating revenues were $566,000, and they were above budget. And again, coming off of COVID, who would think that some of these months we've had in this last quarter, November was one of the top 10% for historical revenue, and that was despite the loss of the Festival Trees, which is one of our largest events. So if things are rebounding nicely, and so we're grateful for that. Some of the events that replaced the festival from a revenue perspective that aren't normal in November was the Idaho School Board Association, the Dairy West Convention, and then we had also the Bishop Kelly event. And so those were revenues that have moved out of month, or events that had moved into December. And again, the last 3 of the 4 months for 2021 exceeded budget. We were running along thinking that our actually back in September, August and September, that actual number over on the right was running around 2.8, 2.9 million. So with these record months that we've had in the last 4 months have reduced that variance and actually got us up to 3.4 million. The challenges that we had in the Boise Center for 2021 was from the revenue management with the COVID restrictions, like I said, in the events moving further and further out. We had also lower attendance, and then we also had hybrid events, which negatively affected the food revenues. Then the AV revenue, with some of the technology investments that we've made, was able to pick up some of the slack, but it's pretty difficult to for any one department to pick up the difference with the food and beverage revenues. Our gross margin management has been difficult and challenging. The reduced revenues coupled with our fixed costs results in some months in a negative gross margin, which is not historically normal for us. The shifting events created the challenges in managing the labor. Difficulty in event staff recruitment has resulted in increased overtime. The team has done a yeoman's effort in making sure we've had the staff, and some people have worked 40, 50 hours of overtime in a pay period. Make sure that we have the coverage we need to operate the events that we have. And then you've seen graphs over the last couple, 2-3 months where we've talked about increasing food costs and trying to manage our menu pricing with increasing food costs and trying to retain, not have sticker shock to our clients when they are returning. And then with the labor costs, I read just last week that Amazon, I can't remember if it was Portland or Washington, they're at minimum are offering $22 an hour. And so, you know, here it's $15, $16, $17, $18 an hour. And so those are the labor costs that we're competing against. And those are full benefit jobs. And so we're trying to do what we can to manage the labor costs. And as Cody had alluded to, increasing our menu prices and our room rentals to try to offset some of the increasing costs. Here's the utilization. You can see the light blue is the forecast for the next year. November, the dark blue is actuals. And then the rust color is 2019. So you can look and see that we were close to 2019 even without the festival. And certainly with the festival in the next year, we'll be way above what we experienced this time. But as you go across, you can see again in February, we're looking to be close to 2019 level. I think it's April's close to 2019, June's close to 2019, July is higher than 19, and August again exceeds 2019. So we're filling in nicely in some of those months, and as we book most of our 50% of our events in the year for the year, that utilization should fill out even more as we move through the year, which would, if this holds true, we forecasted a record-breaking year for the center, and if this utilization holds, it probably will be. Just for November, we had a stable month. It looks like when you go back or look at history a little bit, events are stabilizing at 20 to 25 events right now, where if you look back in December through February of 2020, we were at 30 to 38 events. So certainly not at full schedule, but stabilized. Event days and room nights vary depending on the month and depending on how many conventions we have. Our day visits increased over last month due to the wintry market. And again, our utilization was similar. Our gross profit was below budget. Again, it's, as we've discussed, the higher labor, the overtime bonuses, and the related expenses related to staffing. We had also some higher repairs in November that resulted in our EBITDA loss higher than budget. And that was related to the air walls. And then we also had some compressor failures in the east that were under warranty, covered equipment, not labor. So those resulted in some higher repairs. But year to date, as we said, was a challenging year. Our year to date gross profit, or actually our loss, ended at 64,000 due to the higher labor and food costs. But we were able to manage the SG&A expenses. They were $637,000 under budget. And that allowed offset the gross profit loss. So we ended up with the EBITDA loss of $4.2 million, $285,000 better than budget. So, any questions?
We'll fix that October date, by the way.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it back to Matt.
First and foremost, for the board, on behalf of our team, I want to thank the board for your support. The decisions we had to make this year, without your support, we couldn't have been as successful as we are. When I think Cody and Allie, I think, mentioned it as well, how these facilities, particularly in the Northwest, Oregon, Washington, a lot of California, while they've been very supportive of their communities by being homeless shelters or vaccination sites or whatever it is, they didn't come out of of restrictions until the end of June with their governors, but with activities going on with COVID over the last few months, they've gone in and out of particular restrictions. Our state obviously did not have as severe restrictions. But without your collective support of the decision-making that we've had, we wouldn't be in the position we are. And I'm really proud of where we are. But having a board that while certainly willing and encouraged to question some of the decisions, and you have, and I appreciate that, in the end, you've been collectively supportive. So on behalf of our team, to the board, thank you. This is what we do, and we hope that we make you proud. So thank you for your support.
Any other questions? That I entertain a motion to accept the monthly activity and fitness report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, on to Nick, Idaho Competitive Aquatics update.
Madam Chair, members of the board, thanks for having us again. A few updates here since we last spoke. One, thank you to all of you who attended the Michael Phelps event at the Boise Center. It was a great event. Thank you to the Boise Center staff for putting on such a great event on sort of short notice there. And being great hosts, Michael had great things to say about everything that he experienced here. It was his first time in Idaho. We thought he did an excellent job of stressing the importance of having adequate pool space for kids and the importance of water safety, especially here in Idaho. I was unaware that in 2020, Idaho had the most fatal drownings occur in a river in the United States, and we are currently second among infant accidental drownings in the United States, according to the CDC. Canals, rivers, irrigation that flows through people's backyards. It's very quick, can happen. And so we thought he did a great job of stressing how important it was to have water safety and the importance of water space for people here in Idaho. Throughout the evening at the event and in the immediate aftermath of the event, we were able to significantly close our gap on funding. We're very confident that we're going to go through without any issues and have a great timely opening for the Greater Boise Aquatic Center. As Mr. Rice and some other people have stated here, there's been some restrictions in some other states. We continue to see events canceled in the state of Washington and Oregon and moved to places like Phoenix and Utah. And we anticipate some of those events will come here. Ryan and I recently went down to Arizona State for a swim meet. It was 1,300 swimmers, ages 9 to 24. The facility at Arizona State has 4 pools, so 1 more pool than we would have. And they run it. The difference between a pool that we will have and say the YMCA pool is we will have a bulkhead in the pool that will move. And so we can run 2 swim meets at the same time, which allows us to put probably for our purposes, 900 to 1,000 kids in a swim meet if we wanted to, which would bring more revenue obviously to the district and hotel room nights. We learned a great deal from the host in Arizona. We have a continuing relationship with the team that hosted that meet in Arizona, and they're looking to come up here for a meet. Our relationships with coaches from California to New York and everywhere in between, everybody we've talked to for the last 3 months, updating them on our progress, has been excited for this to be done and for us to get open so that they can get their kids here and their teams here to swim in. And we are obviously excited about that as well. Timeline wise, the Murtha pools have been ordered and they should be here in Boise in April. From that time, it takes about 120 days to fabricate the pool, and then we'll take the Murtha people roughly 6 to 8 weeks to put the pools together and build them on site. As Mr. Rice stated, there was a deposit made and the sprung structure has been ordered. It's expected here mid-February. Permitting has been submitted this week, and we will start doing footings and foundations as soon as we can. And we are on schedule for a fall of 2022 opening. We are confident. We had a meeting this morning with the architects, the pool builder, and a couple other people. And through their conversations and their timeline wise, we are very confident that early fall of 2022 will be open and running at the latest.
So with some of those meets that, you know, are pulling out of states and moving, what's their timeline? Like how short of a time, lead time
Well,
to kind of change some of that?
The closest one is senior sectionals, which was scheduled to be in Federal Way, Washington at the King County Aquatic Center. And there are limitations on the meet, forced it to be moved to Phoenix. And that is scheduled to happen March 23rd through the 27th. And they moved it last week. So
Wow.
if you tell them you can put it on and you're a facility that's going to be open, they're going to do it. You see Mount Coda, Oregon was supposed to be open in September of 2021. It is still closed, which is a big summertime destination for a lot of these swim meets. The restrictions in California, Oregon, Washington are sort of pushing a lot of these things. One of the meets that we will attend in March is the Four Corners sectional meet, which is usually in Arizona. It was scheduled to be in California this March. They canceled that and it's going down to the University of Texas. So these places will travel wherever they can go to get a swim meet in.
Is there a swim season session? I mean, is it kind of all year?
There are two. A short course swim season is from September till April, and that is 25 yards, which is a typical high school and United States college meet. And then there is long course, which is 50 meters, which is an Olympic and more international, and that runs in the US, it runs from April 1 through end of August. And most places will run meets as long as they can.
So there could be potential to pick up some late.
There's potential to pick up some more, as well as going down to this meet in Arizona, which is not an awarded meet. It is just a meet that the club said they wanted to host, and they invite it's an invitational meet, so they invite whoever they want to. So we had a lot of great talks with them, and we'll continue to converse with them, and we will host a meet similar to that here. We'll just have to figure out the timing and what time of the year we host it, what time works best to get everybody into this area. But we will host a swim meet for 900 to 1,000 kids in here as an invitational that we don't have to award. We just put it on the schedule.
Based off one of those slides, it looks like October would be a good month.
Yeah, I mean, and those are great things. Swimming, obviously, it's cyclical, and whenever you can get kids. Right, October is not a time that a lot of people typically travel, so that's a great time because people will jump up at a new meet and travel at a different time. At a high level, all of these things are just practices and dry runs for an Olympic trials meet in 4 years. So coaches will travel wherever they can, take kids and swimmers wherever they can to do as many dry runs as they can to be ready. These meets typically run 7 sessions long. A Thursday night finals where everybody just swims once, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, everybody swims in the morning, and then the top 16 or 24 in each event swim at night. So they go home for 2 or 3 hours and then come back and swim again at night. And it's sort of a dry run for every big meet that anybody will go to.
So would the board like to reserve a date now for you all to go jump in at the same time?
It's heated, right?
We'll definitely have a masters swim meet, and you guys can all come in. We'll get extra swimsuits for everybody.
Any questions?
I can't even put my Tinker toys together, but so does the pool go in before the sprung structure stuff goes in, or?
The sprung structure will go up before the pool. The pool footings and the concrete slab will be laid with the foundation. And then the sprung structure is a stainless steel panel with the gentleman told us this today, it is a PVC paneling that is molded onto the stainless steel. And then that gets sealed onto the concrete somehow, some way. The gentleman who is, I'm sure if I sent him a text message, he'd be happy to get on a phone call right now and explain it to everybody, but it is well above my pay grade, and he was saying things that I couldn't really follow, but I know that he has built thousands of these Murtha pools throughout the country, and every one of them has lasted 20 to 25 years without any issues, so, which is one of the reasons we decided on Murtha pools. So yeah, the sprung structure will go up before the pool, and then the pool, most of the work, the pool work will be done as other work is going on as well.
With based on some conversation with Ryan and these guys, if they can get the sprung structure in, and so it's covering the area and protecting it from weather, again, it's springtime, you know, late winter, early spring. So if they can be working in a closed or a covered environment, at least leave one end open so they can get stuff in, you know, dirt out and then bring the pool in. It'll protect everybody and be a little better working environment. You know, maybe look at January or maybe February. This is more of a question for the board, I guess, but you know, maybe February, March, if you want to have one of the reps either from, you know, when the pool guys are here, maybe have them join us for a meeting if they're around, and same thing with Sprung. If you have an interest, maybe we can extend that information or invitation if you're interested in hearing a little bit about what they're really doing, and then maybe a regular monthly update from the contractor just to pop in and do updates.
And
If
then
you're interested
also
in that.
site visits, and if anybody wants to go take a peek at the progress. However, we can figure that out. It's close to my house.
You know, I think we can probably, like we did East, I'm sure well, I don't want to speak on behalf of them because I'm not in charge of it. We can always request personalized hard hats, glasses and vests. So that if you want to go visit the site, you'll have, you know, we'll get you the name badge so you can go out there and visit the site pretty much anytime.
It'll be exciting once we start.
Absolutely, we're all very excited, and again, if you guys give us a couple of days' notice, we can definitely get you know, Matt in here who is building the pool, or the Sprung guys. I'm sure they're happy to come up from Salt Lake City. So we can.
You know, it might be kind of fun. It's like in June, have a board meeting inside the pool.
There you go.
There you go.
Swimsuit soft gel.
I'm going to put a lot of pressure on our AV and IT guys to make that happen.
I'll be retired by then.
All right, any questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session. Roll call. All right, well, we have to do the motion and we do roll.
Right, I made
Move to go into executive session.
Second,
Second,
okay,
pursuant to, can you read the,
742061B. He's still there?
And is high back?
Hi, Patty.
sure, reach into it.
Yeah, there they are.
okay, perfect. We good, right? Okay.
Sorry.
No worries, thanks. Well, Pat, thank you so much for all your years of service. I know it's been 20 years, 17 as I was executive director. Another great year of performance and running in uncertain times. So just, thank you from the board. We appreciate your dedication to your staff and to the operations of the center. With that, Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
Madam Chair, thank you. And I echo those sentiments, Pat. The board were really pleased with your performance as per your usual and your ability to retain the talent within the center. And as such, I'd like to make a motion that we provide Pat with a base increase of 7% and a bonus of 7%.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Hi. All those-
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pat.
with that, we are at the end of our agenda. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Hey, hi, I'll